Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 841, Heated Rivalry in NFL Playoff Picture. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going pretty well. Cold here. We got snow, a little chilly, but other than that, doing well. How are you?
Yeah, welcome to winter. It's always cold.
Yeah, it's got serious winter vibes here, which is it's kind of nice. It does make it a little bit annoying to do some things, but it's
Like
I'm
drive a
lucky.
20-pound car.
Yeah, and but I'm lucky.
Drive a Matchbox car.
the underfloor heating in my apartment is very, very good. So at least like inside, I never have to be chilly. Which
Does
is
the
nice.
car have heating?
No. What's worse, actually, not only does the car not have heating, but it does. You do get a lot of condensation buildup from just like being in it when there's
So
a
like no
temperature.
defrost.
There's like an air that you can in front of the windscreen that you can turn on, which does kind of clear the windshield, but it's not great. But realistically, you kind of need to have the windows open at all times.
Boy.
To be honest with you, I'm used to it now. It doesn't even bother me. But yeah, you got to keep your jacket on. And
You're used to driving in the winter with the windows open, freezing. Yeah.
Yeah, you get used to it.
You know what? I had a friend visiting and I told him actually that the cold really isn't bothering me yet. And he said, that's crazy. It's so fucking cold here. I'm equally going to call you out and say that that's crazy.
The difference is you're talking about like negative 21 degrees. I'm talking about like it's chilly. And when I say windows open, these aren't electric windows. Like they're not descending. The bottom third of the window pops outwards. So you're not dealing with.
What are we riding the bus?
Yeah, it's basically like a bus window or a metro window. It's like for anyone who's been on the subway or a metro or a train, it's the reverse of that. So the lower half is pushing outwards. So you're not really you're getting some fresh air in, but it's not having a major impact on the temperature. You know where the weather is bad though? We are recording during the Panthers-Buccaneers game, and it is awful weather there. Just torrential downpour.
Yeah. Bad weather there. There was bad weather at the Rose Bowl. All these beautiful locations getting crushed with shitty rain.
I didn't understand. Speaking of the Rose Bowl, I saw the announcement that they were shifting to SoFi, which we were in the group chat. And then they played
I didn't know what the
Bowl.
hell you were talking about because both my cousins were there and they were like sending me pictures of them at the stadium. I was like, what the fuck is Eddie talking about?
But I saw like an official announcement saying that they were shifting the game was going to be played at SoFi. And that not only that because of the change of location, that they weren't going to be able to, if you had a ticket, that it was basically going to be played behind closed doors because they didn't. I saw this announcement.
Fake news, man.
I guess I did. And then I just turned the game on. I was like, oh, fuck, it's at the Rose Bowl. So
yeah,
ignore that. Weather was okay for the game, at least.
Yeah, it stopped raining for the game. I don't think it would have mattered if it was a downpour for that game.
It might have helped. I mean, maybe we can start there with a quick reaction to the 4 college football playoff games.
Oh, you want to start at the conglomerate of a best football team in the world?
The use of conglomerate. People praise that for him. The comments underneath that when I was reading that on social media was like, that's a UC Berkeley vocabulary for you. It's like, I don't know if that's a good advertisement for UC Berkeley. I'm not sure if the trying to use a big word slightly oddly is the advertisement that Berkeley wants for their academic
It's a very football thing, though, because that's like a very football team thing where a coach will try and use like a big word to inspire the team for some weird reason, and then they'll like latch on to that word. Like, I know that was what's-his-face, probably Signetti probably used that word earlier in the week.
There's a few words that get used a lot in American sports that are like bigger words that always make me, for example, it always in football, and this one's not a huge word. The usage of verbiage a lot. People always talk about verbiage. That
Yeah.
always like that to me is like dumb football players who've realized a word that sounds smarter, and so then we'll say verbiage, and and so they throw that one out a lot. And one of the other one, give me a second. You speak, and I'll think of the one that comes up a
Oh,
lot.
you want me to just say it naturally?
No,
Is that what
no,
you're
no, no,
hoping
no.
for?
Just no, no. I doubt if you pull that off, that would be a real magic trick.
Yeah. I just love when people.
Predicated. Predicated.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They love to say predicated. It gets thrown out way more. I hear football players say predicated or NBA players say predicated more than I ever hear. I don't hear predicated ever in sort of day-to-day life. But then you'll turn on a game and you'll be like, they called that play, but it was predicated on the belief that they were going to try and blitz him. It's like, okay, why do you have to say that?
Yeah. Yeah. And every interview he did was like, this amazing place, the Rose Bowl. He
Yes,
said it like 13 times how
one of the
the
most
most
historic,
spectacular historic places in the world.
and that
He's like a
what bothers
fucking
me.
Muppet.
What bothers me there, because again, I do actually think, relatively speaking, by athlete standards, he speaks well, and he does seem to have a charming sort of element to him.
I saw
But
so
what
many good things, so many memes, but keep going.
the thing about the Rose Bowl, kind of praising, like, first of all, me and my teammates want to give all glory to God and to play this in one of the most historic venues in the world of sport. It's like you can't tell me that he hasn't prepared that, and that
Yeah.
bothers me. Like
No,
that's not
100%.
That's not him in the moment saying, "I need to mention how special the Rose Bowl is." That is, I will, like, probably speaking to, like, his parents and other, like, "What? Mention how amazing the Rose Bowl is. What an honor it is to play in the Rose Bowl." Even though
No,
actually everyone just shits on how shitty the Rose Bowl is at this stage, but that's fine. Like,
he has definitely done like every master class in public speaking and is probably sitting in front of his mirror the day before going over plays and then going over like what he'll say like in case of wins or losses. But one of the better ones I saw was like Fernando Mendoza is using Chat GPT in real time to answer
I
interview
sent that to you.
questions. I know, but it was just so good. That one was
Yeah.
fucking hysterical.
So
Like it
so yes, like,
legitimately is.
I guess for listeners who, because we kind of jumped straight into it, we are speaking about Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza. They played the Rose Bowl. They blew out Alabama in the game. And like, both you and I have been slight Indiana skeptics at times in this season. I think they certainly, it's impossible to come away from that game and not feel
Yeah.
like they're more legitimate than they probably felt they were coming into it. Like, we definitely both spoke about the idea that maybe Alabama could be the team that was going to have the big upset in this game. In the end, it turned out it was Ohio State against
Oof.
Miami, which is one that we
Yep.
didn't see coming. But that was such a convincing win from Indiana that it's impossible not to be impressed by what they did, even if you don't think Alabama's that special.
Oh, I mean, they just demolished Alabama. That was not even a game at a point. It was, yeah, that was really, really tough if you're an Alabama fan. And honestly, I think this is something I was kind of discussing with some people over the weekend is I think this is the beginning of the end for Alabama because Alabama was such a good team for such a long time because they had Nick Saban. But now you have better coaches in that division and you have teams that are doing better longer term in that division. I think we might see Alabama start trickling down to where they're like fourth or fifth in the SEC now.
Who's overtaking them?
What? Georgia has already overtaken them.
Okay, but you could argue that over the
And
last decade, there's been a couple years where, Georgia's been better. So that's
but I
who
think
else.
I think this is the end of like how you always say, like I'm just penciling in Alabama, they deserve to be in. I think that's over.
Oh,
I
wow.
I, I think they're no longer the team you pencil in to
Okay, I'll
automatically
blind
be
bet you
involved.
right now that Alabama make the college football playoffs next year.
Okay, I'll do that.
A burger and a pint beer.
Yeah, okay,
A
that's fine.
burger and a pint bet, sorry.
Because I mean, now you also have Texas is in the SEC. You
Yeah.
have LSU, who now has Lane Kiffin and probably $1 bazillion behind them. and Georgia. So those are already 3 teams I think that are going to be above Alabama. So now Alabama's sitting 4th in that division. And then occasionally you have another team that has like a good year.
I think look, the arguments that you're making for some of those other teams, you could equally make for that Alabama now. You could argue in a sense that in a shift in the footballing landscape to now where you really have to have NIL, focused in terms of from a recruitment perspective, then maybe this is the wake up. If it's almost maybe dangerous for other SEC teams, because this might mean that Alabama has to stop resting on the laurels of being Alabama, the sort of NFL football factory, and instead now needs to, start approaching it in the same way that other teams are from a recruitment perspective. So I do.
How
I
many losses
understand.
do you think they have in their last 2 years, Alabama?
So this year, including playoffs,
Yeah.
so they would have lost 4 this year.
Yep.
And probably 4 last year too, I would say.
Yeah.
So
They have
8
losses in 2 years. That's
Yeah.
terrible. Team's
Okay,
done. 9-4 and 11-4 their last 2 years.
but then I could run through, like it's been a period in which we've seen lots of teams get losses in college football. It's not like we've been seeing just undefeated teams, kind of making their way through. So I don't know. I think that's a reflection of the new normal, because the reality is the impact of NIL has been that every team is going to have less strength and depth, because previously you would have Alabama would have had 3 NFL bound quarterbacks on their roster. And now the second string, third string, they're going to go and play somewhere else for a season or two, pick up big money to be a starter, transfer if they want to at a certain point in time. And so the biggest difference, I think, is that, you're going to see these powerhouse football programs lose more games, because previously the other teams in the SEC had maybe the 78th best quarterback, in the recruitment class. Now you're going to have a guy legitimately saying, should I go to Ole Miss or go to Alabama? I'd rather start at Ole Miss and get $5 million in NIL than be a backup at Alabama for 2 years. And if I do well at Ole Miss for a year or 2 years, then I'll just transfer to Alabama if I want to. So I think that's where things are different for Alabama and for some of the other powerhouse football programs, is that they just don't have, just think in the past, we watched literally Tua come in a national championship game. Like that would never happen now, because Tua would be a starter somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, listen, Georgia ain't losing 8 games in 2 seasons.
How many have
Ohio
they
State
lost?
ain't losing 8 games in 2 seasons.
No, I mean, the Big Ten is not as challenging as the SEC. How many games has Georgia lost?
I just think the Alabama
How many games has Georgia lost in the last 2
done.
years?
5.
Okay,
12-2, 11-3, 13-1, 15-0, 14-1.
No. You can't go further. No. Don't go further back, because we could do the same with Alabama. You can't show how much.
That's fine.
Because let's also say the other honest thing. We got to add one more loss to Georgia this year, because I don't think they're going to win the national championship game. And had they played Indiana last game,
what do you mean? Georgia already lost.
I mean, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. But I forgot that they lost in the end. So that makes it even worse. At least Alabama lost to what will almost certainly be the eventual college football champions. Alabama lost to a team that Georgia lost to a team that probably isn't winning in the next round.
Oh boy. Shouldn't have said that.
Well, no. We'll do a kind of odd right. Let's go back to the first game. So the Miami-Ohio State game. I think Ohio State, if I were in charge of it, I'd fire Ryan Day straight away. This isn't
wins
like
the national championship next year, fire him.
I think he got lucky with that national championship in a way that they had so much talent, and all he did was get out of his own way. And just because inherently he's quite a conservative defensive football coach in terms of his play calling. And last year in the college football playoffs, having lost to Michigan, he just let it rip, and that team just steamrolled everyone. And this year, even though he's He has now lost 2 huge games where he had a significant talent advantage in both of those games. Like, you can say Indiana right now are a better team than Ohio State, and maybe you wanna argue that I mean, Miami is not a better team than Ohio State. They deserve to win that game, but Ohio State is more talented in every area than either of those teams, basically. So to have those games, those kind of back-to-back performances, it's a bad look for a coach. I feel like that I would just immediately say, "Let's move on. We've seen enough. Y you weren't good until you won the national championship, really, and had you not won the national championship last year, he probably gets fired last year if he doesn't have the national championship run." So I always think this is where, like, don't give someone too long to do more damage just because they strung 4 good games together when they have a huge amount of talent at their disposal.
Yeah, I mean, I kinda disagree. I think this is always the, like, just fire someone and bring someone new in, but there's no one good to bring in. Like, it's, uh, it's 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 tougher. Like, I mean, he's consistently, like, always in the Big Ten championship, always in the playoffs for the most part, like
No, he's not always in the Big Ten championship. They weren't in the Big Ten championship last year. They
yeah,
lost to
I mean,
Michigan.
that
They
was
didn't make the Big Ten championship game. They won the college football playoffs. They didn't make the Big Ten championship game. They didn't win the Big Ten this year, and they didn't win the national championship this year. For a team with the talent that they have, that's a failure. They just got lucky with a deep college football playoff run last year because they had so much talent that like, to not have won it last year would have been a remarkable failure, all things considered.
so
And
then but then you just said before that Alabama is okay, but why wouldn't you then fire DeBoer, who's had
I
2
probably would.
4-loss seasons
I
in a
probably
row?
would, but I just not I don't think that's as controversial of a take because he may get fired or replaced or so, like, that's going to happen or at least he is being discussed. Like, if they don't get off to a hot start next season, he's getting fired. Ryan Day, I do think is getting the, like, "Well, you won a national championship, last year, so you get a 5-year window," or whatever it may be that he gets given. And the reality is they are underperforming given the talent that they have, and they should be winning multiple national championships in that time frame. And more importantly, the manner in which they're losing, given the talent that they have, he runs y I will, for the life of me, never understand. I know you always hate when it was often mentioned when speaking about Patrick Mahomes about the idea of keeping him off the field, have long drives, keep Patrick Mahomes off the field because your argument is always it's the same number of possessions.
Yeah.
Ohio State has 7-minute long drives, kind of regardless of what the situation in the game is, and he kind of like that to me is mind blowing. It will be like, oh, the other team's just manhandling you at the line of scrimmage. You're down 10 points to possess, like you're maybe getting the ball twice. You know what we should do? Just let's slowly work our way down the field.
Yeah.
Let's turn this into a 3-minute game where we better force a turnover. Otherwise, we're fucked. And he kind of did that against Indiana, where again, he also just kind of played into Indiana's hands. His defense is dominating them. And instead of saying, let's just go score points and trust our defense to get some turnovers and get us the ball back and really put ourselves in the driving seat. And he did it again against Miami. I think that's what would lead to me saying he should get fired.
Yeah, I mean, I give him a pass, honestly. I don't think Sayan is that good. Like, I don't know how that guy was 2nd or 3rd in line for the Heisman. Anytime he
Third.
has any sort of pressure, he just folds, man. And that pick 6, I mean, you want to talk about getting fired. When he threw that pick 6, he should have been told he can never play football again. That was
It
probably
was
the
bad.
worst pick 6. He turned to look at the wide receiver screen, saw the cornerback literally standing in front of his receiver, and then just threw it directly to the cornerback. He turned, looked at him, and threw it right to the cornerback. The cornerback was so shocked that he was like, it was like, what the fuck? Oh my God, do I have the ball right now? Like, he stood there for a second before he started running for a touchdown because he was such in shock about that was the worst pick six
Not
maybe I have ever seen.
I wouldn't go that far. It was very bad. Not only that, he has like 3 options on that. Now, I mean, I'm not saying that necessarily in the way that play is designed, but if you rewatch it, there is the corner sprinting, just kind of has obviously understood it's a wide receiver screen and is just sprinting in that direction, and he manages to pick him out. He has 3 players out there. With a little bit of a touch pass, he could have actually just thrown the ball over the corner because there's actually a receiver beyond that. So if he did,
Yeah,
and which, okay, maybe ends up being an incompletion, but that's not too damaging. But yeah, he should have just eaten that. Like, that wasn't hard to
it's
realize,
awful.
like, uh-oh, that's not smart, especially given they were in, deep in Miami territory. It's not like a 3rd and 17 and the game's on the line, plenty of time left if you end up settling for a field goal, as it turned out in that game. Also, I mean, Ohio State needs to rethink their kicker. I mean, that
Ugh.
guy's proven to be pretty costly now in 2 big
Yeah.
games. But
And
that's
again, and
probably
that's a thing we discuss every week is how can a big school like Ohio State not have a good kicker, which is insane.
I'm here. I've got 4 years of eligibility. I'm look
I don't
for
think you're getting a visa.
that's probably true. For $1 million in NIL, I will do it.
Now
I
I
will.
have a bigger I have a bigger coaching issue I'd like to discuss with you, and that is the Ole Miss Georgia game.
Yeah.
So Georgia was driving down the field, and they were, make sure I get this right. They were down 31-34, and they were driving, and they got the ball into first and goal, I believe, at the 8. First and goal at the 8 with a minute left. Ole Miss, I think, had 1 timeout left. You're down by 3. You've got the ball first and goal with a minute left. Your goal here should be, I think goal 1 is to tie this game up with no time left. That's what you should be shooting for. Goal 2 is we win the game. They decided to completely fuck themselves, and on 3rd and goal on the 6 with 59 seconds left, Ole Miss has no timeouts. They decide to pass the ball and get an incompletion on a terrible pass, first off. I would have rather them taken a knee than thrown a pass in that situation, because you're then giving them the ball with a minute left in college football. That's like 6 minutes in the NFL. Like, it's so easy for them to get in position to score. And it's not as if this was like a 6-3 game where like defense was shutting them down. Ole Miss was driving all game, and that their QB Chambliss was like on fire. So like the idea of stopping them is a pretty tough situation to be in. The other thing that really bothers me is like that quarterback, Stockton's best attribute is his legs and his running. So why not at least roll him out and tell him like, hey, if you've got the pass, you throw it. But if it doesn't look great, just try and run it in, or just take the downs and let's waste some time. Like, the fact that it didn't waste enough time is so stupid to me. And like, they deserve to lose with that play. That was a dumb play call to have him stand in a pocket on 3rd and goal on the 6 and throw a bad pass.
I'm quick to criticize time clock management down the stretch, and I think football coaches are awful at it. The only counter I would have to that, I do agree with you, but the only counter I would have to that is, at least they ran on the first down, they ran on the second down, and they lost 3 yards on the run on the second down.
Yeah.
And I do think that you can't ignore the fact that you're kind of saying, if you run the ball, you're basically saying we're going to overtime now. And
But let me throw one more thing out at you. What if they do score that touchdown? You're still giving them the ball, a team that's been driving down the field for what? I think they scored the last 3 possessions, I'm pretty sure. Like, they're driving down the field. You're going to give them the ball back with a minute left, even if you have the lead. I don't feel comfortable with
well,
that.
the counter to that would be, so they would have gone up by 4. And the counter to that would be is, let's say we play that scenario out, and it's not fair because obviously the mindset of Ole Miss would have been different. But in the end, they ended up kicking a field goal, uh, 4th and 10 on the Georgia 30 with 6 seconds left. So the Georgia defense may have, yes, obviously they're not settling for the field goal in that 4th and 10, and they probably would have been in a little bit with a little bit more urgency when they were when they got to but they only got into Georgia territory with 20 seconds to go. So
26 seconds left, yeah. But then they just do those stupid plays where they kept purposely throwing the ball away.
yeah, but still realistically, like I I th- I think that's where we have to adjust because the difference in starting field position between college football and the NFL is so drastically different now that I still think that ultimately, and yes, the first down stops the clock until the ball is set, but still realistically, I think you got to back your defense to not allow a team to march down in 50 seconds with no timeouts. Like if you can't do that, then why are you going to win in overtime? Like if that's what you're saying, you're basically saying we're never going to stop them in overtime either because that's 4 down territory from our own 25. So like you're realistically you may as well just go and shake hands and say, "You know what? Ole Miss too good for us." Like
Oh.
we've crunched the numbers, we're not coming out on top. But I get what you're saying. In the NFL, I think I would agree with you more because of they're going to start on the 35, maybe
Well, they
even the
start on the
40.
25 here, so.
But 10 yards is a big difference. That's a whole that's a first down. That's 10
But the clock doesn't
seconds
go, though. But the clock doesn't go
until the ball's
after a
set.
first down.
Yeah, but you still have to run the play. Like the play doesn't take no time. So even to get that 10 yards, that's another 6 or 7 seconds. Then you don't snap the ball as soon you're realistically running 10 seconds off the clock to get to the starting field position. And that's assuming that your very first play is a 10-yard completion. If
Yeah.
the first play is a incompletion, oh, there's 5 seconds gone. It's I think I get it more in college football. My bigger takeaway from the Ole Miss Georgia game is should Lane Kiffin really be kicking himself? Like
Oh,
this is the
but
version of success he's now hoping to have with LSU.
yeah.
It's a huge mistake he's made.
Well, here's my question, though. Does he get a ring? He was on the
No,
team. What do you mean? He was on the
no.
team. No,
You
he
gotta be
coached them. He's the coach. How is this any
well,
different than if you're a quarterback for 4 games and then you break your leg and don't play anymore?
so when you say a ring, you mean if they hypothetically win the national championship, or do you mean a Sugar Bowl ring?
No, I think if they win the national championship, can he put on his resume he's a national championship coach?
No,
He
because you gotta win.
coached that team in the same season that they
No,
won
you
a
gotta
national
be there.
championship.
You gotta be
Yes.
there when they win it. That's not how it works. You gotta be there when
I think you could put that on your resume.
No, you gotta be there. You gotta be there. You can't let's put this 'cause college football's on a long season. You couldn't be an NBA head coach, lose the first 35 games of the season, then get fired. Then that team goes on a remarkable run, wins the championship, and you want a fucking ring at the end of the season, and you're
Yes.
putting on the resume, NBA championship winning coach?
Yeah.
That's no, you can't do that. You
I I
you
I think he can get it.
no.
'Cause we were actually trying to think about this and that's actually what we said was the NBA is probably the only scenario where it's might have happened,
Yeah, it
where
might
a
have happened.
coach.
No, ice hockey might have happened. Guy gets fired, wins the Stanley Cup. Baseball, maybe. Guys get that's 106
Yeah,
hockey because you have to think hockey and baseball, that's 162 games in baseball. You
it's
can
a
get
lot
off
of
to
games.
you can get off to a pretty bad start. Same hockey, what is 80? It's the same as
But
the
I feel
NBA, no? It's like
I feel
82.
like baseball, they don't fire people quick enough. I have
Uh,
like NBA sometimes they fire coaches super early in the season. They
no, they
actually do
do.
for NHL too a few times. Like they'll fire them pretty early. But I always like remember NBA sometimes like a team will go like lose, 8 out of their first 10 and all of a sudden the coach is fired. So like that's where we kind of thought that it might have happened there. We didn't do enough research. And I said, this is what I said. I said, this is something that co-pilot Sam would actually be super useful for, but they would fuck it up.
Let's give him a chance.
Like this is what AI was actually made for, to answer bar questions like this when you're sitting at a pub drinking.
I could also definitely have seen this happening with like Barcelona or Real Madrid, where they will fire coaches very fast.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll lose like you'll draw 2 games and lose one at the beginning of the season, and you get fired.
Hey,
And
we
then
might
you
see it
can.
happen with Chelsea.
I don't think they're going to win the. Also, he technically wasn't fired, right? We'll get onto that topic later on. So, Copilot says absolutely, it's happened, though it's rare. NHL, it's happened twice.
Okay.
2019, it's probably happened more than twice, but it's happened twice in recent history. 2019 St. Louis Blues, they fired Mike Yeo.
Oh, that's right.
November
That's right,
2018.
they did. And then they started playing Gloria, and then all shit.
They were in
turned loose.
last place.
They were in
January.
last place. Yep.
So does Mike Yeo get to call himself a Stanley Cup winning coach?
I wonder if he has a ring. We should see if he has a ring.
The Pittsburgh Penguins also did it in 2016. Mike Johnston got fired midseason, and then they went on to win the Stanley Cup. Never happened in the NFL.
I forgot that St. Louis one. I should have known that because that was like a huge thing.
Never happened.
When that
NHL is the only one in the American sports. No NBA,
Okay.
no NFL, no MLB.
We got to see if he's got a ring. Let's get him on the podcast. Let's say we'd like you to come on the podcast and show us your Stanley Cup ring.
But here's the thing is too, because you might give someone a ring if they were there for a few years, and even if you fired them, maybe you ended on quite good terms. And I do not know enough about either of those NHL circumstances to know. Ole Miss fucking hates Lane Kiffin now. Like, they're not taking the higher ground. The only way that they might do it is actually as a fuck you move of, hey, you know how you hope to win a ring now with LSU? Here's your ring. Like, that's the only way that I could see them doing it, of actually kind of out of spite sending him a ring as a real, like, rub salt in the wound. Like, oh yeah, we won a national championship without you. Congratulations. Good move by you. Here it is. You get one. We'll give one to your wife too.
Ooh. And all the DMs you send.
and every woman who you've DM'd in the past year.
There's gonna be a jeweler. There's gonna be a jeweler in Ole Miss that's really happy on that one. No, I don't, like, in all seriousness, mean like he's gonna get a ring or something like that. But like, let's say Wikipedia. You go to Wikipedia. Does it say he is a national championship coach?
No. 100% no. 100% no. It's gonna say he built, the team, something along those lines. And that depends. Wikipedia is edited by people. So that's probably getting edited by some Ole Miss fans.
Yeah.
So probably not super positive in terms of how it speaks about his contribution.
But he coached this team into the playoffs.
Look, here's a separation. Does he get, if you're being fair, does he get some credit? If they go on to win the national championship, does he get some degree of credit? He absolutely does, because he put this team together. He
put the coaching staff together.
You could almost argue that perhaps him leaving is additional motivation that they've needed to pull out two very good performances. So, like, even that might be a contribution to their success. Yeah, if you're being fair and honest, you might say that. But does he get to call himself a winning coach or no, or ask for a ring? No.
Yeah. I don't think he'll ask for a ring. Do I think he will call himself a national championship coach? Probably.
Maybe. And then the other game, just a complete
But real quick, just to finish up on that little thing.
Yeah.
It is crazy, though. He is getting paid out for that win. You saw that, right? I did
not see that.
It's in his LSU contract that if they like win games in the bowl games in these playoffs, he gets like incentives for it. So I think he either got like 500,000 or another $1 million for them winning that game.
I don't understand how that works. I don't understand. I mean, as a lawyer who's written some contracts and I don't understand how you resign but are still entitled to incentives that, like, these college football teams must just be held over a barrel during contract negotiations. Like, I can understand if you fire them that they may still be entitled, that you write a clause in a contract that says, if you terminate this contract over the course of the season, I am still entitled to all of the incentives and bonuses that I otherwise would have received that season. I can get being able to put that type of verbiage into a contract. I do not understand how you're allowing someone to have a contract where they can walk away from it, but then still get bonuses that they didn't get. Like, it's one thing to say you still need to pay me out on bonuses for things I achieved whilst I was there. Fair enough. But like, oh, you've won a game after I left, you must still pay me. That I don't understand. I don't
It's
understand what's
crazy.
going on. I
Yeah.
will
So
also
he
I'm going to
he
now volunteer two things. I have 4 years of eligibility as an NCAA kicker. And I'm also able to handle some contract negotiations on behalf of these teams because they are getting just destroyed.
Well, I think the thing was we'll just do anything to get him there. So I don't think there was even much of a negotiation. The
I
negotiation was what do you want? We'll give you whatever. And he said, I want 500,000 if Ole Miss wins in the quarterfinals. I want another 250 if they win in the semis, and I want $1 million if they win a national title. Because that's what his incentives are currently in that contract. So he just got himself a $500,000 bonus for having his team that he no longer coaches win.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
I don't
yeah, it's crazy. But it is quite ironic that he went to LSU because he wants to win championships, and Ole Miss now has a very good chance to win the national championship.
Very good chance might be stretching it, but
I mean, they have one. They only have one loss this season. It's to Georgia in the game that they
you
should have beat them.
you think too much about loss counts. Like, it's not.
I mean, I thought they looked pretty good. And if you think Georgia's the second best team in the country, they
I
look pretty
don't.
good against them.
Well, I
Well, who do you
don't
think
though.
is?
Ohio State.
Well, they're clearly not.
No, this is we have this argument every year. They clearly are. I like if Ohio State plays any of these teams in a 5-game series other than Indiana, I still think they beat Indiana in a 5-game series.
And
But
Miami.
if they play any of these remaining teams, they win. But I mean, Ole Miss is the biggest underdog out of the remaining 4 teams. So could they win? Absolutely. Like, they have a good chance against Miami because Miami's not amazing. But I mean, Ole Miss, I do not think has a chance against Indiana. I don't think they have a chance. So
Yeah.
Ole Miss's only chance, I think, of winning this is that they beat Miami and they need Oregon to beat Indiana because I think Oregon has a chance. I think Oregon is the only team left that I think can beat Indiana. But then I also think that Oregon could lose to either of the other 2 remaining teams, if you see what I mean. They're like, they would obviously be favorites against either of them, but I do think they are more it's a higher probability that they would lose to either of them.
Well, I guess we didn't mention that game, but that game was so boring. It's not worth mentioning.
Yeah, they just blew them out.
Oregon won.
Yes, other team didn't score a point, so I mean, it's not exciting. I mean, you had the possibility that could have been 2 scoreless games because Alabama was nearly scoreless against Indiana. So
Yeah.
All right, that's probably enough college football talk for us, seeing as we're not really a college football podcast. We can move on to the NFL. As I've already mentioned, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers-Panthers game is going on as we speak. The Buccaneers are up by 6 points at halftime, so listeners can enjoy that score update 12 hours from now. I'd say for this week, we will only focus on the games that actually have playoff implications.
Okay, so any team that has a playoff implication that well, we can go through that, like if it really matters or not. But
yeah, like
any game that
meaningful.
has some sort of meaning, and we can determine how much meaning that means.
Yeah. So for this
I know
game
that
that's going on,
verbiage isn't up to your liking, but
yes.
Sorry.
So for this game as we speak, if the Panthers win, they win the division, they get the playoff spot. If Tampa Bay holds on to this lead now, then they will need the
That's
Saints.
predicated on the fact that the Saints
beat the Falcons.
Yeah.
And if that happens, then the Bucs will be in. If the Falcons beat the Saints tomorrow, then the Panthers would be in.
That sucks so much.
Yes. What I love about it too, and I did see this
So does
summary,
that
is
game have meaning then?
I guess it depends what happens in this game, because if the Panthers win this game, that game has no meaning.
But let's say the Bucks win. Does that
Yeah.
mean do you think then that means for those teams playing that it has meaning? Do you think then the Falcons go into that game being like, "Let's treat this like a playoff game. We want to knock someone else out." Or is it just like another like, "Let's get ready for a Cancun game"?
Maybe if they really hate the Bucks. Like, the only way I could see, I'm putting myself in those shoes. If if you fucking hate the Bucks, then you're
Do you
like,
hate
"You
more, the
know,
Bucks or the Panthers? They're both in your
I
division.
I think I think it's not like you need to hate one of them more. I think you really have to be, "Fuck those guys." Like, that, where you can go into that game saying, "All right, everyone, we got nothing to play for, but do you know what? Let's ruin their fucking season." And if that's but if you're
Man,
indifferent to the
jeez.
Bucks and the
Let's take it
well, I'm
down
just
a
saying.
notch here, man.
But that's if you're indifferent to the Bucks and the Panthers, then that game is meaningless then. But what I did like is we're very realistically headed towards a possibility here where the Falcons, the Panthers, and the Bucks end up on this with the same record, and yet the Saints might now be the best team in that division, and
Yeah.
and they're not gonna be in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Next game up is the game later tonight, which is the Seahawks at the San Francisco 49ers. The Seahawks, this one's confusing me. The Seahawks over the course of this week are becoming bigger and bigger favorites. So it was sort of 1 point at the start of the week. They're now 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
The this equation here is extremely simple. Whoever wins this game wins the NFC West and will get the number 1 seed in the NFC. So winning the division, who really cares? But the prospect of getting a bye is certainly an interesting one, and one worth both of these teams trying for. So yeah, that's the implications there. Who's your pick?
Oh, the Niners all day. I I don't understand how the Seahawks are favored here. I am going solely on the fact, and this is not to overhype Brock Purdy, but in a must-win game, do I trust Sam Darnold or Brock Purdy more? I would trust Brock Purdy 11 games out of 10 before I would trust Sam Darnold. We saw what happened last year when Sam Darnold caught fire, and then when the games really mattered, he fucking was put out quicker than anything I've ever than a one wick candle. I mean, it was. I cannot trust Sam Darnold in the clutch. I'm sorry. I think he's actually a pretty good quarterback, but I think I have to go with Purdy more. I know the Niners defense is not very good. I understand this could become a shootout, but I still think the Niners just overall are a better team here.
But I think this Niners team has now accepted that games are going to be a shootout, and that's how they're playing. Like, going back to the Ryan Day criticism, I think Shanahan, I think they have faith in their defense that it will get crucial turnovers or stops at certain moments, but that it
Mhm.
cannot be trusted over the course. The expectation has to be this: the opposition is scoring 25 points,
Yeah.
and we need to score 30 plus to win a game, but there's total confidence in their ability to do so. I mean, since their bye week, they have scored 127 points in 3 games. I mean,
Yeah, it's crazy.
they are a buzzsaw at this stage offensively, and we've seen this with Kyle Shanahan offenses. There are just moments in seasons when everything clicks with him. And for the Niners, unfortunately, they've tended to time that pretty poorly in relation to the playoffs. They've done it early in seasons, even in like Super Bowl runs. By the time they made it to the Super Bowl, things weren't working quite as well.
Yeah.
They seem to be timing this one perfectly. So maybe, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't know how anyone who's watched the last 4 or 5 weeks of football comes away from that feeling like the Seahawks should be favorites on the road
Yeah.
against this 49ers team.
And I mean, I get the Seahawks defense is legitimately good. Like, they are a good defense. But that offense, I mean, it's Jackson Smith-Njigba. Like, that's the whole offense. And I know that's easier said than done to take him out, but, like, if you can control his day a little bit, I think they then struggle a little bit to score and to get the ball down the field and to get sustained drives. Like, their run game has not been that great this year. They don't have many other weapons in the passing game besides him. I think their next receiver is Barner, their tight end. Like, they don't have a number 2 wide receiver. Like, and yeah, their defense is good, but like, you're gonna have to score points against the Niners. You're gonna have to put up at least 24, I think, still to win that game. 21, 24, that range. The Niners will get over 20. And I think you can stop Darnold. I don't get it. I'm sure we're going to be proven dramatically wrong.
Maybe. And I mean, look, the vote of confidence for the Seahawks team would be the fact that they won a shootout against the Rams a couple of weeks ago and they scored 16 points late to force that game to overtime, and that Sam Darnold produced a game-winning drive in overtime when they needed it and got the 2-point conversion. Like, that's, and we've just seen from them, they do score a lot of points on top of having, one of the better defenses. But yeah, I mean, again, listeners will already know the outcome of this game, so it's the one that we should, I suppose, spend one of the least amount of times on. But moving on to the Sunday early slate of games. So we can start with the Jags against the Titans. So the Jags need to win in order to secure the AFC South. And they have a chance. They'll have the number 3 seed, assuming that the Broncos and the Patriots also win, but they have the chance to overtake the Broncos or the Patriots and have the 1 or the 2 seed if they lose. So it's possibly a game that kind of won't matter that much, but could potentially matter a lot more.
It'll matter for, it'll matter for getting a home game. Yeah. Because if they win, they clinch the division, so they'll automatically get a home game.
Yeah.
But if Houston loses, then they still get it. But I mean, I think getting a home game would be pretty important for Jacksonville. I think their fans kind of deserve that. It'd be nice to give them something to cheer for.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately,
good.
There's the Jags, given who the Broncos and the Patriots are playing, they can't expect that either of those teams is slipping up. So realistically, yeah, it's try and win your division, take some pride in that. And I guess that matters a lot.
And go to 13-win season too. I mean, 13-4 is a pretty good season.
Yes. Well, especially, did you see Liam Cohen? Did you know he's already the 5th most successful Jags coach in history? Now, they've only been around for 30 years, so it's not that like wild of a statement. But yeah, it's so they're 13.5-point favorites for this game. It's a lot of points to cover. Obviously, I do expect that they will win, but
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty confident that they'll win that game. But the Titans aren't like, are they a super push around team? I don't know. They're frisky.
They're frisky. Yeah. And so the other team in that division with something to play for is the Texans against the Colts. So the Texans obviously could win the division if the Jags lose. So that seems fairly unlikely. However,
they've already clinched a playoff berth, though. So
yes. But however, a win could be the difference between them having the 6th or the 7th seed in the AFC.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think this is a very easy one. I think Riley's starting for the Colts, so I think the Colts have kind of shut it down a little bit here. I mean, Phillip Rivers obviously was probably an upgrade from Leonard Riley, but not the greatest upgrade. So it's not like they're just like closing shop up. But I would fully expect the Texans to win comfortably here.
Does this move just make the Phillip Rivers decision entirely pointless? He wasn't terrible.
No, because I think the whole point was him, like, they brought him in to potentially make the playoffs. And now that they're officially out, you don't want to potentially kill a 44-year-old.
It's with hindsight, obviously. But in the end, they went 0-3. He played okay.
They were close.
But in terms of performance above, like just to borrow some slight baseball terminology, but sort of performance above replacement, to think of it from that perspective. Like, did Phillip Rivers play better than kind of anyone else they could have had?
Yeah, I think he plays better than Leonard Riley would have. I
You
mean, we
think?
saw Leonard. You saw him for a little bit in that one game, and it was not pretty.
In one game, though. It's
But Philip
like if
Rivers
you
came back in his first game, and he looked better, having not
did
played in
he?
3 years.
In his
Yeah.
first
Then
game,
yes.
in his first game, the Colts defense played extremely well against the Seahawks. He managed 2 semi-competent drives. And then other than that, like his best performance was against the 49ers by far. And then he kind of had 2 duds and one pretty good game. I feel like that would have been the same with whoever they played with. Anyway, that's just kind of my take. It was fun, but I don't know if fun really justifies it that much. Good move for Phillip Rivers. He got $300,000 for a month's work, and he also extended his NFL healthcare coverage by, I think, 5 years.
There you
So
go. Good
that's a
coverage.
nice move for him too.
Yeah. And then you also have, I guess you kind of skipped over a little bit, right? The Broncos
Well, no, I'm doing it
and the
in kind
Patriots.
of divisional sense.
Oh, okay.
And plus the Broncos game is a late game.
Later
So it's
game.
kinda
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I would expect the Texans to win that game. The risk here, I suppose, in terms of from a betting perspective, is that the Texans midway through that game may realize that they have nothing to play for. And so you may have them benching everyone. You may have the Colts finding themselves in a position where they're slightly more motivated than the Texans. Your hope here has to be that the Texans are out of sight at halftime. And so that even if they check the scores at halftime and realize that the Jags are up by 40, that they've also already won their game, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd still be I'm pretty confident the Texans will win.
I think so too. I mean, it's mostly a vote of confidence against the Colts, especially against that defense. Moving on to the later, those are kind of the two only early
Early game
games
ones.
that
Yeah.
matter, really. Moving on to the late games, you've got a lot more significance there. So starting then, you already mentioned the Broncos against the Chargers. So the Broncos, win and they get the number 1 seed and the bye. If they lose, then they obviously need the Jags and the Patriots both to lose in order to hold on to that 1 spot. The good news for the Broncos is that the Chargers have already announced that they're resting Justin Herbert, so Trey Lance will be playing in this game.
Oh boy.
Now, if you
Somehow,
remember,
I wouldn't be surprised somehow if Justin Herbert still takes like 2 sacks.
you remember I asked when Justin Herbert was playing with a fully broken hand, would Trey Lance really have been worse? We now get to put that to the test.
Yeah. Oh, you say that, but then he played great last week, Herbert. They did lose that game.
Well, yeah, but his
played really
hand
well.
was no. I said his hand is healing. So that's 3 weeks removed from when I questioned his hand. It wasn't his hand will never be better. Let's start Trey Lance. Always. It was, was it the smart move for that particular game? It's reflected in the fact that the Broncos are also 13.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's just like I hate when this happens though, because then these spreads just become so unpredictable. Because like 13 seems like a lot, but then if the Chargers aren't playing any starters, it's probably not a lot. I mean, the Broncos should win by 20 plus. Like it was a time, was that last year when we saw
a 20+
the
spread.
Chiefs, right? The Chiefs rested all their players and it was like an enormous spread and like, that can't happen. And then the Chiefs were down like 40 after the first quarter. And you're like, oh shit, when they do play second string, they aren't as good.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. 13.5 points sounds so big, but then the reality is if we're recording this on Monday, it's like the Broncos won by 20. It's like, yeah, of course they did. I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound outrageous, and that would be a
Yeah.
comfortable covering of that spread. But the fear there is, as we discuss on a regular basis, the Broncos could be winning by 20 most of the game, and then in the
And
fourth
then they
quarter,
shut it down.
they shut it down, and it's one Chargers drive at the end. It's like, oh, won by 13. Like,
Yeah.
how unfortunate. And then speaking about obviously with how things playing with the Jags and the Broncos, the Patriots then they can get the 1 seed if the Broncos lose, but they have
Yep.
the risk of dropping to the 3 seed if they lose and the Broncos and the Jags, well, if the Jags win. So there's something for them to play for then, either in the hope of having the 1 seed in the bye, but certainly in terms of improving their chances of having a home field through the playoffs by having the 2 seed over the 3 seed. So pretty big incentive for the Patriots to try. They also have the added benefit of playing a Dolphins team that has nothing to play for and should be completely mentally checked out.
I don't know. This one kind of scares me. I don't love this game.
This
I
one,
mean, you say they're completely checked out, but they have won 3 of their last 5.
but for a while they kind of had playoff hopes. Now they have nothing. The reason why this one scares me a little bit more is that
The
the
Patriots aren't good.
Patriots. No, it's that the Patriots might see the difference between the 2 seed and the 3 seed as being kind of minimal. And so the chances of them shutting things down completely if the Broncos are up big is a lot greater. Whereas, say, the Jags still might want the divisional title no matter what, because that, you get to say division champs, that means a lot. There's a great, and Vrabel, he's such a sort of pragmatic asshole that I could also see him being like, there's no fucking difference between the 2 seed and the 3 seed. If we can't beat the teams we play in the playoffs, we can't beat them anyway. So who
Yeah.
cares? Like that kind of attitude. Like it's a little scarier, but still they should win.
So the reason I would be happy siding with the Pats and I'm not as nervous is Devon Achane is doubtful for this game and he probably won't play. And he is basically their entire offense at this point. I think he's got almost 2,000. He's close to like 2,000 yards, all purpose yards. He's in like the 18-ish hundreds, I think. Like they were saying he could have done it if he plays. He could get 2,000 all purpose yards, but I don't think he's going to play. And then he's got 12 touchdowns. So, he's like their whole offense. And if he doesn't play, then I don't know what they do at that point. You have Quinn Ewers is on his own there a little bit. So I think I agree with you. I don't know what to expect with Vrabel and the Pats. Like it's a little bit of a wild card of how important they think this is, but I think they'll play their starters, and I think they'll win.
Yeah, I agree with you. One of the games that has less significance, Bears against the Lions. So if the Bears win, they get the 2 seed. If they lose and the Eagles win, they'll get the 3 seed. Um, they and then if they win, they play the Packers no matter what. If they lose and they get the 3 seed, then they would play either the 49ers or the Rams. I think that difference in terms of how much more challenging that first round of the playoffs could be is especially with this Packers team that's running on fumes and getting more and more injuries every week.
Yeah,
I think that's incentive enough for the Bears to really want to win this game.
yeah.
The risk here is the Lions aren't.
Oh, Eddie, don't.
They're not
Don't.
fully checked out.
Don't, Eddie.
They're so fast.
I thought we had an intervention last podcast. You gotta get over your Lions obsession. You want to hear something crazy, Eddie? After this week, the Lions are going to be in last place in that division. That's how fucking bad they are. The Vikings are going to have a better record than the Lions after when all is said and done. And that is a Vikings team that people thought should be like in the dumpster by week 6.
Well, yeah, but I mean, look, Dan Campbell came out this week and he said, sometimes you got to hit rock bottom before you can work your way back up. And relative to where we are at, this is rock bottom. But as
Yeah.
bad as it looks, and I said this the other day, it's not as far away as it may appear. We've just got to get a few things back in line here, and those few things are speed on offense.
Yeah, we are fast.
So fast. So fast sometimes.
Did Chat GPT write that for him?
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I do think the fear here, even though the Bears, I do think have every incentive to win and will want the 2 seed over the 3 seed and the much more favorable playoff paths. I think the Lions under Dan Campbell will be going full speed. That isn't me complimenting the speed, but just, you know what I mean? He's a psycho. He isn't going to just take, they are not going to say
Yeah.
season's over. Let's just, this will be talking about a team that will be saying things like, let's ruin their year. This is the type of, the Dan Campbell's going to be
Yeah.
in that locker room getting them pumped up about the idea that they get to put a dent in the Bears sort of playoff momentum.
Now, and I fully agree with you. I 100% agree with you. But let me play out a scenario and let me ask you then what the question would be next week. Let's say the Lions go out and lose by 25. Does that mean Dan Campbell's lost that team? Because then they
No,
clearly wouldn't have played.
no, but I do think if they lose, if the Bears win comfortably, I do think Dan Campbell's job is at risk. And I think that's another reason for them to be, not the players will necessarily care about that, although they might, and they'll probably be aware of that fact. But Dan Campbell, I'm sure, regardless of whatever messaging might be coming internally, he'll be smart enough to know if the season ends in this way with just 3 losses in a row and finishing bottom of the division and just the wheels really coming off in the sort of final quarter of the season, people are going to be asking questions, especially because the thing that's going against Dan Campbell is there's not actually that many NFL head coaches who are going to be on the chopping block this summer because there's a
Yeah.
lot of new guys and a lot of, so someone has to get fired. And the 24-hour sports news cycle has to focus on why someone should be fired. And so it may be Dan Campbell, even though it would be a bit harsh.
Yeah, it'd be very harsh. I'd be happy if he got fired and the Giants picked him up.
Yeah. Which is the easiest way of knowing that you shouldn't fire someone is that, he would immediately get hired.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to the next game, which that late slate of games, I guess that's everything. It just moves on to the Sunday night game,
Well,
which
what about the Rams? Don't the Rams have some slight play? Don't the Rams and the Packers have like some slight
the Packers have nothing.
implications?
The Packers are
Packers have
locked
nothing.
in.
Okay. I thought the Rams have like a scenario, or the Eagles. Isn't it the Rams and the Eagles have like
So
slight scenarios of changing places?
so the Rams, it depends on what happens tonight. So if the 49ers lose, then the Rams can get a 5 seed if they win. If the 49ers win tonight, then they're locked into the 6 seed. So there's
Okay.
nothing for them to play
Tricky.
for.
Okay.
The Rams,
That's the Rams.
the Rams, the Eagles, they can leapfrog the Bears from the 3 to the 2 seed. So
Okay.
if the Bears lose and the Eagles win, then they can go from the 3 to the 2, which again, it's the same as we just spoken about with the Bears. That's the difference between playing the Packers potentially versus playing the Rams or the 49ers. So it's a
Okay.
much
Oh, and I
easier
guess
game.
yeah, that's true. Okay, I get it now. Because then okay, the Rams and the Eagles can't switch spots because the Eagles are the division winner. That's right.
Yeah.
So no matter what, they're locked in. Okay, makes sense. Yeah. So and I saw McVay said he actually was going to play the starters because they played so poorly last week, but I don't believe that for a second. He sits people all the time.
You know
So
why he's going to play the starters too, though? It's Matthew Stafford's MVP candidacy.
yeah,
You don't think they care about that?
I don't
I
think
they
so.
do. I think they do. If they
But
like
not when
Matthew
Christian
Stafford.
McCaffrey runs for 250 and 4 TDs and gets it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not happening. I mean, he's not winning the MVP, but Yeah. Okay. So, but yeah, moving on to the game that has the clearest playoff implications of any of the games that we've discussed and the most impactful, which is Sunday Night Football, which is the Ravens at the Steelers. And this is winner takes all. Winning, you're in. Losing, you're done. Whoever wins this wins the AFC North. They sneak into the playoffs. And, it's as simple as that. And it's the Ravens are 3.5-point favorites. I've had to adjust my Ravens expectations. I adjusted more quickly with the Ravens than I did with the Lions. And perhaps I over-adjusted slightly with the Ravens based on my confidence that the Packers would beat them last week. I still don't trust this Ravens defense, although it definitely has improved. If, as we discussed last episode, this is just a commitment to running the ball and relying on Derrick Henry and perhaps unleashing Lamar Jackson, my biggest issue here, the reason why I have the most confidence in them, I can't think of a worse scenario than Aaron Rodgers, as good as he is in primetime, but at his age, in a very cold night game in Pittsburgh. That just sounds like an awful combination for him. Just creaky old bones and joints once he takes a couple of hits. This is a guy who looks mentally checked out mid-game on a consistent basis. If the Ravens are up 10 and Aaron Rodgers gets sacked, like if I'm Harbaugh, I am telling the Ravens defense, cheap hits all you want. I'll take the 15-yard penalties once or twice early in the game.
Gate.
But just put him on his ass. Put him on his ass a couple times and watch him get up, and let's see if he starts to kind of check out a little bit as he does it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think they played 4 weeks ago? Is that 3-4 weeks ago? And the Steelers won that game, but the Ravens outran the hell out of them by 200 yards and had another 100 yards total more offense. The Ravens just kind of lost the plot in that game and stopped running the ball and stopped giving it to Henry. And I don't think they're going to do that this time based off of what happened last week when he ran for also 300 yards.
That was also the controversial no catch rule at the end of the game.
Yes.
So the Ravens should have won that game and kind of did. But yeah, I think there's every reason.
I think the Ravens will win this. And I just think they're just going to have Derrick Henry rush for 40 carries, 300 yards. Just give it to him every play.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. As we've spoken about for the last couple of weeks, kind of disappointing final week of the season. You don't have too much. You really only have two standout games, which is the Niners. Well, I guess the Panthers-Buccaneers game that's currently going on.
Yeah. You have three games with direct playoff implications. But winner in, loser out. Well,
this game isn't good. And this game isn't good as I keep an eye on it.
What are you talking about? It's a 13-7 thriller late into the third quarter.
This game isn't good watching it. And you don't need points to be a good game, but you do need better play than this to be a good game. But the reality is the 49ers Seahawks and the Ravens Steelers games are the only two really compelling games that actually have something truly at stake. So that's a little bit disappointing. But I mean, we're 1 week away from the playoffs anyway, so don't have to sit through much.
Well, there might be some pretty bad playoff games too, but
I will say, looking at that late slate of games, that could be a rough red zone.
Yeah, I thought that too, actually.
Doesn't
look good.
Could be a lot of touchdowns, I suppose, but could be a rough red zone. Look, and you've jinxed the Bucs. Now the Panthers are marching down the field to take the lead.
I didn't jinx the Bucs. I didn't say anything about the Bucs.
Hey, you said 13-7. Implication.
Thriller.
Point.
What are you talking about? It's 4th and 12. Am I watching the same game?
There's a flag. It was like a 40-yard completion that's coming back. That's.
So I guess that wraps up the NFL. Do you want me to let you solo some of this? You said you wanted to discuss the Chelsea sacking.
Well, not real sacking, right?
The sacking, but removing of duties. What was it?
Yeah, mutual termination, however they
Yeah.
refer to it. It's a bad look. I've had criticisms of Blackburn Rovers and how that club is run. I think as a Chelsea fan, this is a really depressing period because and here I get my anti-American rant. This is the Americanization of the Premier League, and this is venture capital money coming into the Premier League that is expecting it's just such a sad thing. Football clubs should not be run for profit. They should not exist to make money for their owners. It is a privilege to own a sports team. You shouldn't do so in order to make money. Maybe when you sell it, it can be worth more than you bought it for, but I in my heart of hearts believe that owning a sports team should lose you money. That
Like a
like
racehorse.
yeah, kind of. So that even if you go, "Oh, I bought that NBA team for $1 billion and I sold it for $3 billion," if you owned it for 20 years, you should have lost $2 billion spending money over the course of those 20 years. Like, I do genuinely believe that. And this is an example of how we have an expectation that sports needs to be a genuine business, and that doesn't make sense to me, and that's how Chelsea are trying to run it, and that's
Yeah.
influencing decisions they're taking internally. So for those unfamiliar, Maresca has been basically openly speaking about the fact that he wanted to leave. He has supposedly held some initial talks with Manchester City over the idea that he might be the next replacement for Pep Guardiola. Going back to what you said about how he would like if Campbell was fired to become the New York Giants head coach, nothing should tell Chelsea that they should hang on to Maresca more than the fact that Manchester City are considering him as a replacement for Pep Guardiola.
Yeah. It's true.
He is supposedly his big issues for leaving are that he is being told which players to play, which players can come on as substitutes, and that he, as head coach, is limited in terms of the actual decisions that he gets to take over the way in which the team plays. That is no way to run a football team, and or a sport or any sports team. And
and
it's
and also I like why put someone in that position? Do you know what I mean? Like if you're hiring someone that you should have the confidence that you're putting your trust in them to make the decisions. But if then
well,
you
they're
don't allow them to make the decisions, then why do you do like why have you put him there?
well, why have you put? Look, you if you want to put a system in place that removes those responsibilities from him, like we've already seen a transition because, traditionally in English football, you were a manager. And as a manager, not only did you make decisions about tactics and player personnel on a match to match basis, you also oversaw transfers. And then there was a transition to the European approach, which was a head coach and then plus a director of football. And so the head coach is making those player personnel decisions and on a match to match basis and tactics and systems, but the director of football is overseeing incomings and outgoings. This is taking that one step further where you're not really a coach, you are a coach who is just executing plans that are being dictated to you. If you're going to do that, you cannot have someone like Maresca, who is one of the hottest properties in European football, be the person at the helm because he's going to undoubtedly have more self respect than would be needed in order to just accept those instructions and enough confidence in the fact that he will very quickly get a job of similar stature somewhere else, and so doesn't have to be worried about no longer being Chelsea manager. That's reflected in his willingness to actually leave the club. Chelsea are solving this problem by seemingly being on course to appoint Liam Rossinier as their manager or their coach, who is currently the Strasbourg coach. That is someone who you are putting in a position that Liam Rossinier would have thought he was years away from managing one of the biggest teams in the Premier League. And so now you're going to put a coach in place who will not have will have seen what happened to Maresca, and so will know coming into it that probably there's going to be some influence on player decisions coming from other people within the club. So if he's going to take the job, he's going to have to accept that. And B is going to think, good God, this was such an incredible promotion. Even if I don't like what my bosses are now doing, I'm going to shut up and keep my head down because I'm lucky to be Chelsea manager. I was fucking Strasbourg manager 2 weeks ago. Like, and so they're going to solve that problem. And again, I don't think that's good news. I support a club where I think we've also solved those problems over the course of time by doing that, by, promoting people above their station and putting people in place who are not capable of doing the job, because by not being capable, they're less likely to push back. And I think that's what the path Chelsea is going down. So it's sad. I don't have any particular soft spot for Chelsea Football Club, but it's sad to see a club being run in that way. And I think it's what I'll always say, because I say this as someone who supports a football club that is being run disastrously. And sometimes because of the competitive nature of sports and the rivalries and the hatred that's within them, other football fans will say, no, that's great. We love to see your club doing badly. When you're seeing complete mismanagement and a lack of structure in place within a league to stop these types of decisions being taken place, you need to be worried, because it starts with this. It will be your club eventually. Sooner or later, it will happen to everybody. So you need to be seriously concerned about what's happening at Chelsea and elsewhere. That's my Premier League rant over.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. We can move on. I've got a question for you. So you've been watching a lot of hockey this week.
A lot of hockey.
You've also been watching Heated Rivalry and
Ugh.
we've spoken about your passion. And Heated Rivalry is probably the show in terms of within the zeitgeist. Now it's everywhere on social media. It's
You gotta
spoken about
watch it.
nonstop.
Listen, if you haven't watched Heated Rivalry, and I don't mean you, just you, Eddie. I mean you,
Yeah,
the audience. You
the
go out
collective
and you
you.
watch it.
But here's my real question.
Great show.
The NHL is not tying
Taking
themselves
advantage
to
of it.
No. And I get it, because ultimately, there's probably a slightly homophobic element to this of, we do not want to associate our sport with this drama, a romantic drama about 2 gay hockey players or 3 gay hockey players. I don't even know how many are actually gay in this TV show. But it seems like a missed
Doesn't
opportunity
matter.
from no, it doesn't. But it does seem like a missed opportunity from the NHL perspective, that for the first time, and probably the only time, ice hockey is like the biggest thing. You're getting people who would never have watched ice hockey previously to be kind of tuning into this TV show.
Yeah.
And then the NHL is just doing nothing about it.
Yeah. Well, I will counter you by saying, I've said it multiple times, it is not a sports show with romantic side
No,
plots. It
fair.
it is a romantic drama that occasionally shows sports.
But
no, I'm just joking. I'm just
hockey's
joking.
still
No, I'm
at
joking. Yes.
because again,
No.
as you
It
and I
is
will both
huge.
seen,
Yes.
and listeners will have seen, there's plenty of content on social media of people, like, of girls, gay guys, straight guys going to NHL games being like, I'm at the game to see, like, where's the makeout session, and like,
Yeah.
all that dumb stuff. And then the videos of, like, the guys warming up, humping the ice and the various
Yeah.
things that are going on. Like,
Yeah. No, it is kind of unfortunate, because it's also taken over just the hockey world in general besides the NHL. So even like the top 3 hockey podcasts that are out there have all discussed it and regularly discuss it. And then you have Sean Avery, who's a huge, I would say, voice within hockey, and now obviously with he's tied with entertainment side of things because he's trying to be an actor, and he has a bunch of different things. He is always talking about it, and has been on other podcasts being interviewed about the show. But yet the NHL has really still distanced itself, which is kind of sad and pathetic that they're like so afraid to be a part of like a show that is genuinely groundbreaking in what it's shown and what it's done. And I think the reception it's gotten from what it's showing, I think you've seen a lot of positive reactions from people that I didn't think would have very positive reactions, and it's actually been really nice to see that, and to see people speak about it. And and Sean Avery has been, his one main thing is like he genuinely thinks that this will make it easier for someone in the NHL who is gay to come out from this show, from a fake television show having such a cultural impact that it will actually make it easier for them. And that would be amazing if it did. But it is kind of sad that the NHL like kind of refuses. And maybe I don't know because I don't watch the NHL in and out. You do see some clips like they'll play it on the Jumbotron at games, like they've played like the trailers and stuff.
But that's
But
like a
they
team
definitely aren't
basis,
leaning
right?
into it enough. That's like, you're right. That's like the stadium. That's a stadium
Yeah.
entertainment kind of, trying to have a good game and entertain the crowd kind of thing. But yeah, it is a little disappointing. And maybe they have plans for season 2. But I mean, you have to also remember the fact that I don't know if the show did. They probably didn't because they didn't have the funding, but it's not NHL teams. Like, so I don't know if they tried to or if they didn't even bother.
But that also doesn't matter because it could just be a moment, like as you spoke about, even if you don't want to, even if you're the NHL and you say, this isn't licensed, we don't get money from this, we don't want to be out here just sort of pimping for Netflix for various reasons, and maybe also because of some of the other agreements that they may have that might even be complicated for them in terms of, oh, could this cause an issue with other sort of television partners, distribution partners that we have. However, they could certainly run some kind of campaign saying, oh, like some like LGBT promotions, like you spoke about, of hey, at some point we would like to have openly gay players in the NHL, and like what a wonderful sort of version of openness in hockey this kind of represents. You know, obviously with a bit more thought than I'm giving to it, but yeah, it does feel like NHL is very much the fourth biggest sport in America.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with this slight resurgence of baseball, because I think you could have said, oh, baseball's lagging, NHL is kind of probably in the 3 spot, but then you have the huge World Series and the way things are going in baseball, and I think they've definitely moved back above them if they weren't just already there. And
Yeah.
why wouldn't you take every opportunity you have to get new
Yeah.
fans, create a buzz surrounding your sport?
And yeah, and I guess the last thing I'll say too is it's kind of crazy to me because when I think of the 4 major American sports, I am pretty confident that the NHL is the most progressive of them. And maybe that's a lot of it to do with Canada being a big influence in the NHL,
Yeah.
and Canada on the whole is pretty progressive. But as the 4 major sports leagues go, I feel like they are the most progressive. And it, it's surprising to me that they're still feels like they're slightly nervous to take any sort of stance on the show. But
I do feel like that is the Canadian element, I which may not be real in terms of how progressive the league itself is, or even the players.
maybe it's also because that's the sport I play and have been around the most.
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
maybe I don't like. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I think it's probably a competition between the NBA and the NHL, probably. And they're probably progressive in slightly different areas. I don't know if you said which of these sports would I be most likely to come. I mean, I suppose the NFL has had openly gay players.
So does the NBA. It was the first.
Yeah, but it's rare. Uh, so yeah, I don't know which one. If it's obviously an impossible question to ask because I'm neither a gay man nor a professional athlete.
Yeah.
So I'm having to
Too bad.
to like
Too bad
to,
we used to have half of that.
yes, sadly not the professional athlete. The thing this sports podcast desperately needs. But we did have a gay man, but we kicked him off. NHL, you can sponsor us.
Yeah, it is a shame.
We'll ask
No, great
co-pilot
show though.
Sam.
But I forgot to tell you, I had a good joke though, because I went to the World Juniors and I was at the Team Canada match, which again, Heated Rivalry is a Canadian show. And the Mariucci Stadium, which is the Minnesota college hockey stadium, was one of the two host sites. And they have the trough in the bathroom, which for those unfamiliar with the trough, it's basically like one really long urinal that everyone kind of just stands in front of and pees. So I went into the trough and looked at the guy next to me and said, "How good is Heated Rivalry, huh?" and I kind of made sure it was a Canadian fan at first, like just because I know like they had probably seen it and they probably would think it was funny, and then they laughed and they took it in stride and they were like great show. I love it a lot, and then we kind of just both nodded, gave a little chuckle, and then went about our business. But it was pretty funny.
I'm not sure if "went about our business" was necessarily the best turn of phrase there, but yeah. No, I mean, as I said, I probably will never watch it, but
It's a shame. And the great last episode too. I won't spoil
sh
anything or say
I'm
anything, but it was just a phenomenal last episode.
sure it's good. Just,
Very
I don't know.
different last episode than 99% of television I've watched. Uh, in that, yeah, it was just different in a
Does
good
it
way.
have gay hockey scenes?
No, they
I
don't.
think everything
No, there's
I think everything about this show is different than 99% of the TV shows you've watched.
not what
I
I
don't
watch.
I st uh,
I also
yeah.
watch other shows with hockey, and I watched the Mighty Ducks show.
Mhm. Any other, popular culture topics to discuss?
No, but I did tell you off podcast that I had a little quick Cedar Inn story. So the Cedar Inn, for those who aren't listening on every episode, that was a local bar by me that I now frequent quite often. It's a great bar, best wings in Minneapolis, quite possibly the United States, best wings I've ever had. Um, and when Eddie came to visit, we went pretty regularly. I think we went 4 times. I had another friend visit.
Not sure if one of those counted, but yeah.
But we were in the establishment. I had another friend visit, and we went on New Year's Eve. So we celebrated New Year's Eve at Cedar Inn. They decorated, gave us free champagne. It was very nice. And then we went the next 2 nights in a row. So we also went 3 nights in a row. And last night we were sitting at the bar. This is a Saturday night around like 11:30. And my friend was also commenting how much he loves this bar. It's a great neighborhood bar. This is so cool that you have this bar by you. Like this is so cool. And we overheard the bartenders who were like right in front of us go, "Man, it's really weird. None of our regulars are here." And my buddy looked over at me and he said, "That's really gotta hurt, doesn't it?"
Yeah, that must hurt a little bit. Although, again, you've not been around long enough, I think,
Yeah.
to really
I still have probably only gone 10 times in total. I've only been here for 6. Like I think when they're talking regulars, they're talking decades worth
well,
of.
I think to be a real regular, you need to be at least going once a week. With a
But for
couple you
how
can miss.
long?
I think
Like
if you
what?
do
Once a week for a month, or once a week for like a year?
no,
At
I think
least I think you
once
at least
if
put
you
in a year.
no, I think you can be a regular in 3 or 4 months if you were going
Okay.
minimum once a week, but also occasionally more than that.
Okay.
I think at that point, but and of course you can miss a week. But yeah, if you said for 4 in the last 4 months, I've gone to this bar once a week, all but 1 week, and then most weeks I'm going twice, I think then you're firmly in the regular category,
Okay.
I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't consider myself a regular, but it was kind of funny. Uh, but I have been there more times than I thought I would be there. And I've been there on Christmas and I've been there on New Year's, which
That's a
makes me
pretty
really
good
upset that I
achievement.
didn't go on Thanksgiving because that would have been the great trifecta.
Well, that was your own choice.
I know. That was my mistake.
You were
And they put
encouraged to
together
do
one
so.
hell of a New Year's Day menu that supposedly was very good. The bartender said the prime rib was great, and I'm kind of pissed I missed it. I didn't know it happened. Otherwise, we probably would have went for it.
The only thing that makes me slightly question how good some of the food is just because it's so remarkably cheap.
Yeah, $24
Like
it was for
that
like a
menu is
5-course dinner.
how good can the prime rib be?
She
If
said it was a huge piece too, which is even crazier.
I'm not the size bit doesn't surprise me. It's the, like, how good could it genuinely be sort of thing. That's I don't know. That that I have to question.
Yeah. But a lot of hockey the last few days. I played my first ever pond hockey not tournament, but pond hockey game. So that was fun. Got absolutely demolished. People are very good at hockey in Minnesota.
What's the age range of most of the people playing in those pond hockey games then?
So that was like just like whoever was at the rink, and then I had like invited a few people, and then probably like another 6 or 7 just random people were there. It was probably ranging that day. We did 2 days in a row. The first day was probably age 16 to 40, and the second day was probably 20, mid 20s to 50.
50s,
But still
pretty
very good. Yeah. The two older people we played with on the last game were both very good. And we've been playing with several Division One hockey players and two ex-pros played in these random pond hockey pickup games, which is always great. And I guess
What's
something that happens pretty
pro
often here.
by, like, former NHL player or just has been paid to play hockey at some point?
Yeah, one was in the AHL, so the minor leagues, for like a good amount of time, and the other played overseas in I don't remember what league he said, but like a pretty good overseas league, not like Romania. No slight to Romania there, but like one of the bigger ones, like Sweden or Russia or something like that.
I did have, I forgot looking back through my notes. I did have one good anti-Arsenal stat I meant to throw out, but,
Oh,
well, they do speak about being top at Christmas. That's one of the big things that, like, your chances of winning the Premier League increase dramatically when you're top at Christmas. So, looking at clubs that have been top at Christmas in the Premier League era, of the kind of big clubs, Chelsea have been top at Christmas 5 times. They've gone on to win the Premier League all 5 of those occasions. Manchester City have been top at Christmas 3 times and have gone on to win the Premier League all 3 of those occasions.
okay,
Manchester United have been top 7 times and have won 5 of those times.
okay.
Liverpool have been top 7 times and have only won on 2 of those occasions. Arsenal, now including this, well, no, not including this year, have been top 4 times, and they have never won the Premier League when they've been top at Christmas.
How many times has Sam been top?
At Christmas? Never. He's always bottom at Christmas.
Wow, that is actually pretty crazy, though. That is not a good stat.
No, it's not a good stat, that's for sure.
So does that make you more or less confident?
It doesn't actually change much for me because I don't think
Okay.
those types of historical statistics have any influence. I guess the one thing you would say is that there are players within this squad who have for whom that's been the case. So you can at least make the argument there. It's not, hey, 15 years ago we were top of Christmas and we didn't win the league. Who cares? There will be players there who will think like, uh-oh, we've been in this exact position and we didn't
Yeah.
manage to do it.
Yeah. Well, they're off to a good start so far.
Scraping by Bournemouth today? Yeah, that was
Yep.
super good. Who'd have thought? Didn't think.
Hey, who
But
would
yeah,
have thought? Because you know what? 2026, Wolves 1-0.
yes, that was the surprise of the Premier League. Them pulling that off. I did not see
Thrashing.
that.
A thrashing.
Yeah, 3-0 in like the first half too. That was
Yeah.
the that was the
That's
real
the
thing.
New Year's resolution is we won't lose anymore. and we're still going to get relegated.
As an update for our listeners, it looks as if the Bucks are going to win.
Oh, please don't. Come on. For someone who will put Ollie and I in the sin bin for making early proclamations, you're going to do it live on a podcast.
Well, live to tape, yeah. Because they are up by 9 and have the ball in Panthers territory. So with under 9 minutes to play in these conditions, already just even if they do not score points on this drive, they will win this game. Because I cannot see the Panthers putting together 2 scoring drives in.
Oh God, just stop. Just stop. Are you doing this on purpose?
Kind of now I am. I wouldn't have gone that far had it not been for the fact that you got.
Looks like they don't need to when you throw a pick six.
But yeah, we'll see what happens. But
all right, anything else?
Don't think so. I've been watching the new season of
Night Manager.
No.
I don't think that's out yet.
Oh shit, what's it called?
Describe it to me.
It will come. Give me a second.
The Pit, not out yet. Almost.
No. Oh, did you see they fired that girl from The Pit?
No.
The
girl
Black Doctor
who turned her phone off in the season finale. She has permanently turned her phone off on the show.
Is that? I can't remember. Is that what Tracy?
Yeah, remember because she had a miscarriage, and then the head doctor sent her home and said, "Turn your phone off, don't answer." And then they had a mass shooting, so she couldn't come back. Because her phone was off.
She's gone. Speculation being that her reason for her exit is because she is very religious and that she was not happy with the abortion and storyline within season 1.
Oh, interesting.
And so protested some of those elements, and so they have decided to part ways so that there can be creative freedom within the Pit's story writing.
Okay.
That is all speculation. But
turns out she just had another movie she was shooting.
No, she has released a public statement that definitely made it clear that she did not choose to leave, but she was kind of wishing there was a lot of class in the statement that she released, but it made it very clear that she is done.
Still doesn't answer what the show is that you're watching.
Oh, I got delayed by that.
Describe it to me.
No, I'm not going to describe it to you.
Give me the one sentence plot.
Fallout.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I've started watching season 2 of Fallout, which is.
That's right. It did come back. I saw that on Amazon Prime.
It's enjoyable,
but we'll watch it. It's easy to catch up on because it's pretty easy to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the greatest TV show ever made, but it's sort of fun, relatively mindless viewing. It's pretty good.
Part of the Goggins-sance.
Feels like that kind of ending.
Yeah, but it's a pretty good run by him between what's the stupid preacher show? Oh my God. He's also in White Lotus and in Fallout. And the Eastbound and Down guys preacher show. I can't think of the goddamn name.
This is not a good run for us, with just us not being able to remember TV shows. I'm not sure how great
I watch so many TV shows that I forget names now of them.
Righteous Gemstones.
Righteous Gemstones. Thank you. Oof, put me on my misery.
Yeah. But no, that's pretty much it.
Whew, all right. I guess with that, then we'll call it a day.
Sounds good.
Talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheerio.